or Sajalk Chandrakar player who tried to attack, but the attack is very well countered by white, and now black is in trouble. So black trying to get some activities with the knight, attacking the queen. Let's see how the game develops. Okay, black realizing they cannot save the bishop, so decide to at least get a pawn against the bishop, which will have been the case also if white will have taken the bishop, black could have taken back the pawn. But let's see a bit more this game. But I think white is playing very strong. You can see it's almost 1700s, so it's quite high level for the beginner tournament. So we might switch to another game, but let's just look a bit how white is finishing off. So knight move, threatening like the royal fork, but black sees it and captures a c2 pawn. So it's not over yet. There are still some pieces on the board. It's important not to give up. Especially we can see like now black is capturing many pawns. So there is a long road to come back to in this game, because one bishop and one knight is a lot of deficit, but it's still possible. Okay, so we'll check it again. Let's check another of our game between Shuo and Austin. So our two Happy Pawn students that participated to the last tournaments. So let's have a look from the start of the game. So e4, e5, knight f3, knight e6, bishop c4, so Italian opening. Played correctly on both sides. Okay, taking the bishop, the black bishop with the white bishop, allows black to have a very strong center. So usually we say double pawns are not that good. However, double pawns in the center of the board like this can actually be very powerful. So now black controls a bit more the center. And to be noted that, okay, black can prepare d5, but even without d5, the e6 pawn is controlling important squares for the white knights. So let's see how the game went. Knight e7, a bit passive, like knight could also go to f6, and castle. So let's see Austin. So Austin is probably favorite here, but Shuo is playing very well these days, doing good performance at the tournament. So let's see how they fight. Still equal in material. And Shuo bringing the queen to the attack, probably with some ideas of checkmating, but I believe Austin will not fall for this kind of traps. So Shuo threatening the checkmate, and Austin calmly defending by removing the knight from the 7-5. And Shuo, I think, wants to bring more pieces to the attack, giving up the b2 pawn that Austin is taking. But okay, there are a lot of possible activities. So let's have a look what happened. A bit fast forward. So Shuo bringing all his pieces to the attack, Austin defending with the rook, and let's see, king h1 to unpin. Oh, and I think I know how it ended. So knight attacking queen, and oh, okay. So Shuo put everything in the attack, and it looks like queen g7, is a defensive move to kind of block any attack from white, but it's also attacking the G2 pawn. So Shoshu not seeing it, and Austin taking the victory in this first game of the Happy Pawn beginner tournament. If we go back to Mad Amazing Earth, so the game ended, and yes, as predicted, it has been a bit too difficult for Black to come back in this game, getting very well checkmated by White, so congratulations. We still have a few games ongoing in the beginner, so let's have a look. We have Boss 826 against Timur, and the game looks much better for Timur. One rook ahead. Rax the Meeper is very far behind. Let's try to find the closest game. Maybe this one. MRV against Chudasov. And we can see Black is one knight ahead. Also quite a strong player for the beginner tournaments, 1600. So we can have quickly a look at the start of the game, how White lost this piece. So playing a perk, and oh okay, here White can also just attack the knights. Actually, after developing the knight is even better, so I'm okay with what happens. Oh, and actually Black doing small blunders, giving up a pawn. So White was better at that point, so what happens? Trading the... oh, okay. So that was a mistake. White didn't see his bishop was trapped. And after c4, the bishop has no squares to go. If he takes the pawn, will be captured by the knight. And if he goes to h4, will be captured by the knight and the queen. So, okay, so that's how White lost their bishop. And let's go back to the game. Black having the pair of bishops, very threatening, and winning another piece. I think looks like the end for our friend MRV225. And not many chances of comeback. In this kind of position with White, you don't have many resources except trying to maybe counterattack on f7. So White could try to place his pieces, trying to prepare some attack. Like, well, it looks quite hard. Black can defend quite easily. So yeah, not an easy game for MRV, who is trying his best. So still 48 seconds on the clock. But yeah, not many options right now. Okay, and we're going to check up on the open tournaments. So open tournament, only 7 players. And some of the games still ongoing. So let's have a look at Teacher Sebastian against Mystics. So okay, so Mystics is one rook ahead. I think Teacher Sebastian is playing from outside, quite busy, but I don't know if he can focus much on the game. So let's have a look. We can see already has not much time on the clock. And Sebastian trying to find some counter-attack. Threatening, not much at the moment, but Mm, not very easy position, especially with 15 seconds. I think Seb is doing something else at the same time because he could have played much faster. Let's have a look to the end of this game. Sebastian, always good to find some hidden resources in like some difficult positions. But it looks very difficult at the moment. However, let's see, like the Black King is quite exposed. So Black is rightly moving back his pieces together, trying to defend. Um, and already many threats, I think. Oh, what happened? Oh, bishop e8 attacking the queen and Seb not seeing, so I think he's still moving outside. But good game from Mystics, 2200. I think it's first time he joined the tournament. I don't remember seeing him before. And that was the last round of the Open. So the last game, maybe. No, actually, we still have one between Marcus Walters and Potato Turtles. So let's have a look at this game. Between two similar rated players, so and we can see White looks like struggling a bit. Black has one pawn ahead and has this H pawn that is pass pawn, able to create some threats. White PC is not so well coordinated at the moment, and we can see Black has like some very strong pawns in the center. I would have maybe preferred to see Black pushing his pawns. Actually, the queen was in f7, c7 if I'm not mistaken, so that will have also prevented White from pushing because the queen will have been behind. I think White is very happy to exchange pieces. White can, but wait, like the pawn, can it be? So check. Okay, so quite interesting. Could go both ways. Even though Black is one pawn ahead, White has quite strong position. Many threats possible. You can see already after just basic move, rook takes rook. Looks quite dangerous. And looks like a checkmate probably coming. King here, maybe first rook here. Queen, yeah, but then Black can try to escape from there, but can at least take the rook. So I don't know if there was a checkmate. We can check just after, maybe. So White keep like checking the Black King. I think at some point White has to take the rook, Yes, and it's a checkmate in few moves probably. Oh wow, and the blunder of Potato Turtle, who gives up right away, giving up the rook. Maybe some um, could have been like, I think there are like some strong checkmates. So yeah, and yes, and Queen F3. I should not have put the engine. It's like small puzzle. We could have done it ourselves, but yeah, there were like many ways to checkmate, I think. But okay, pressure of time control, not so easy. Finally, so it's Marcus Walters who wins this game, and that was the last game of the round one for the Open tournament. Looking at it, like we had this. Oh, so I think chicken and chicken and dining joined at the last moment. So he missed the first round, still got half point, and Jesse Fur got 1 point because playing against no one. So let's have a look at Jesse Fur against Chess Gunist again. Some high rated game, 2100 against 1900. So the kind of games we see in our Open tournament quite often actually. It's just the average level of our players. Justifer won one of the last tournaments, so one of our regular contender against Chess Gunist, who I don't remember playing against. I think it might be his first tournament with us, but I was not there the last tournament, so I'm not 100% sure. And we see Justifer playing a perk with d6, the fianchetto, knight d7. So one of the plan for black will be to... So with the c4 moves, actually black could also play c5, I think, instead of the usual e5 in most of the other cases. And just if we're asking a question to the white bishop, attacking on the side. So let's see how Jessifer plays this one. White usually have a very strong center in this kind of games. So looks like white is better most of the time, but however the black structure is also very strong. And mid game to late game, black is usually coming back from this position that looks kind of tough. And Jessifer playing c5, opening the diagonal for the black bishop. I mean, opening, no, the diagonal was already open, but putting some pressure on the black squares. And after d5, I think black has a decent position. We're going to come back on this game just a bit after, and we're going to go back to the beginner. So beginner tournament. So let's have a look at FIFA Technique against Timur. FIFA Technique, one of our best students against Timur Abaildev, 1700. So has a better rating than FIFA Technique, but let's see. So material wise, white is 1 pawn ahead and has quite a strong knight in the center. So I like the position. Needs to be a bit careful though, because black pieces are all like well developed and can put some pressure on the white structure, but Kabir technique, no, oh, FIFA Technique is black. Timur putting his queen on the side, seeing that the pin of the pawn could be annoying later on. So correctly putting the queen on the side, I think it's quite a good move. And black maybe liking a bit of ideas, putting king f8, which honestly doesn't look like a bad move, but is not improving that much black position. White using this free tempo to put their rook on the d5, and now I think the small advantage black had in activity is decreasing. Quite interesting game actually. I think it's still white favored a lot because of the pawn advantage, but a lot can happen. Okay, and black deciding to double the rooks on the d5. So yeah, and actually, okay, I missed one move, but black played king g8, so king f8, king g8, and actually king g8 I really disagree because now you're like pinning your pawn, and there is no good reasons to do that. And now after knight e5 there are like already some threats, so of course the threat of checkmate, and also capturing the h6 pawn. And okay, FIFA technique doesn't find a way to defend, so push g6, because actually FIFA technique doesn't have many ways to defend, right? You cannot, I think after this, like the rook is hanging, so looks a bit dangerous. Actually could also take here first. Oh no, because you couldn't. I don't know, but looks quite bad. And after g6, white is capturing his second pawn, so 2 pawns ahead. What a nice game by Timur, like taking small advantages, and now with the queen and the knight on the side, it also had like some threats. I think white is quite comfortable. Looking at this, I really like that FIFA technique is counter-attacking on the queen side to create some weaknesses and try to maybe make pass pawn. That will be a very good goal. But let's be careful because this pawn is hanging and looks like the black position is a bit dicey. I think white could have just taken this pawn maybe, and if black bring back the knight and maybe just come back. No hurry to queen h4. Because I think here white don't threat that much. So very nice game so far. So FIFA technique, okay, trying to make something happen, attacking the pawn, and Timur playing very fast queen d2. Same, I would have maybe preferred to see Timur take the pawn, especially the knight is pinned, so... Oh, actually the knight was pinned before, so actually queen takes a4 was good before. And now suddenly FIFA technique leaves the knight and cannot take the bishop because that will be the rook left. So wow. So now it looks very hard for black to come back after losing one piece on top of the 2 pawns. But let's see if black can do something. White trying to like keep some tempo, and black counter-attacking, trying his best to stay in the game. Still, maybe some hope of counter-attack with some rook h8, maybe. But if white plays well, I think there is not much chance for black. Now white is threatening some checks, but black can still defend. Oof. But this is not a defending move. Timur can win the rook and need to be careful actually about his own rook will be checkmate. But yeah, okay. So here black should have played king on the side to avoid to be checked when Timur takes the rook. Because now black has to move their rook and Timur can save his rook, playing very carefully. He doesn't want to take any risk. Which I like, because if he tried to play something like rook a1, it would have been deleted by queen c6. And fast forward, it's Timur that wins the game. So let's have a look at the end. Yes, Timur even giving a knight just to exchange a queen and blocking the pawn just on time. So nice victory for Timur, very well played. If we go back to our open tournament with Jesse first, so we stopped around that point with c5, and Jesse third pushed h6 to remove the bishop, put his knight in a good square, still have this bad knight, and as you see, white can try to attack, pushing pawn, taking the space, controlling the center, and also threatening the black king. With the two bishops, the queen that can also come, and the rook might come also later on in the game. So I like white position a bit better. Threatening to take the knight. Jesse Fur did intermediate check, put the knight safe. Now maybe, okay, white decides to go very fast for the attack, pushing f5, threatening to destroy the black castle. Black played king g7, and now black is holding on quite well. So black is not behind in terms of material. The king looks very like in the open world, a bit dangerous, right? But I think it can still maybe be defendable, but it's going to be hard. Like the next moves are going to be pretty hard for black. And we can see like both players used most of their time. So only 40 seconds left for Jesse Fur and 1 minute for Chessgunist, 57 seconds. So let's see, Jesse Fur finally decided to exchange the knight in the center, and Chessgunist take back with the bishop. So now there is strong attack. So white can just double rooks, I guess, or even just put their bishop in c3 to contest the diagonal. Okay, that's what Chessgunist does. I think rook e8 looks mandatory, and I guess white has to try to double the rook on the f5. I mean, looks like the most easy plan. Yeah, or putting more pressure on e5. Actually, I like it a lot also. So in this kind of positions, you don't really want white to trade, because white will end up with one passed defended pawn, which is like very, very, very strong for the endgame. And I think that's just white is happy to release the pressure for this strong advantage, which is this pawn. And wow, and looks like everything is crumbling. The queen is going to take another pawn. And already looks like it's going to be very tough for Justifer. So it's something quite common in chess. It's sometimes you work to get a better position. You're doing a lot of efforts to get some tempo, get your pieces in better squares, put more pressure, have better pawn structure. And at the end, it's the end result is this kind of advantage. Suddenly you arrive in this position where your opponent cannot do anything because your pieces are just better developed, and suddenly there is no escape, right? So because of the activity, because of the better position of the pieces. Oh, but okay, I think this one is probably a major mistake. White pushing d6 when they don't have to, actually. They don't have to hurry to push d6 at all. The pass pawn on d5 is much stronger. Black cannot do anything against it because white will have like some backup pawns. And pushing d6 is actually creating a weakness, and Justifer rightfully play king g8, g7, and black is right away taking back the pawn, and now suddenly black is one pawn ahead, and despite the double pawn on the side, I think black has always chance to come back in this game. So that's quite huge for Justifer with holding, and oh, I've been a bit late on the move, so players kept playing. Okay, and now we're live. Oof. And Justifer dropping the pawn. Did he calculate something? I'm not sure if it's a good move or not. I think that was a blunder from Justifer. I don't see anything good, and white can also capture on the side. So yeah, Justifer probably doing like a very costly blunder. Oh, but now just Gunist leaving his bishop under check. I think it's time pressure, guys. I think it's really hard for the players to keep up with the time pressure without doing mistakes. And wow, what a game! Still some small stress, but it's okay. It will end by a draw. The bishop can contain the two pawns. The white king cannot support the two pawns, has to choose one side. The black bishop will block one side, and the black king will stay in front of the white king. And since the black bishop can move forever, there would be no opposition or such things. So yeah, it's a draw. In theory, maybe black will still win because white has some pawns, so it could be like some checkmate on the side. But I'm not. Yeah, in theory. But okay, draw. Nice game. Was quite nice to watch. So let's go back to the beginner tournament. So we are round 3 already. Half the tournament is almost done, and let's have a look to some kids we haven't watched yet. So Chudasov with 2 out of 2 playing against FIFA Technique. So 2 600 players. And FIFA Technique with the white pieces. One knight behind, but with some attacks. Position looks a bit complex. However, Chudasov with the black pieces and one knight against one pawn. Looks alright. Oh, but I say that, but there is a double attack. And black cannot do too much about it. Yes. Yeah, I don't see winning moves for black here. And so my introduction of the game was incorrect. I didn't see the double attack. And suddenly, I mean, the position is quite balanced. I will say FIFA technique with the pass pawn on the queen side looks very good, but to be noted that the bishops are on different colors. So the white bishop is on black squares, the black bishop is on white squares. And as you probably know, in this kind of position, the fact the bishops cannot exchange each other could lead to a tons of draws, like many endgames. Even if one color has, for example, two pieces in advance, like if white is two pawns ahead, pawns, because of the opposite color bishop, white, even with two pawns ahead, will not be able to push their pawn because the black king and the black bishop will like just block any pawn moves. So if black succeed to trade their queen and their rook against the queen and the rook of the white, we could see this kind of drawish position. But let's be careful because the two pass pawn on the side are very powerful. And okay, that's a big blunder by FIFA technique. Rook is of the game and checkmate in two moves. I don't know what was the plan of FIFA technique. Bishop e1, maybe he wanted to go to g3 to put back his bishop in better square, but actually his bishop was already very well placed. So a blunder by FIFA technique, losing this game. FIFA technique with only one win, despite being a very good player for the beginner tournament. He still has 4 runs, so let's see if he can keep it up and improve his final score. And you cannot see in the stream, but I can see there are like many people watching this last game of the beginner tournament with Mad Amazing Earth against Timur. So I think two of the best players of the tournament, and already you can see Timur is one rook against one knight, so plus 3 pawns looks very good for Timur. Let's see if Mad Amazing Earth can do any magic in this position, but it looks really tough. Not many threats for Mad Amazing Earth. And black is probably will try to abuse the power of his two rooks to win this endgame. So the two rooks on the second file. And Mad Amazing Earth trying to find something, so giving up the bishop. Maybe he wanted to try to attack the black king, but everything is falling apart, and I think we're going to see Mad Amazing Earth resign in this position. And that's it for the round 3, going to the round 4. in the beginner tournament in 1 minute. So let's have a look at the open tournament, where the round 3 is still ongoing. And we can see first in the ranking is Potato Turtles playing against Chicken Dining. So, two of our regular players of the tournament. And let's have a look from the start of the game. It started with d4, okay, with Queen's Gambit. Black playing very strong defense with e6, e6, and taking c4 pawn a bit later, pushing b5. Okay, that's a bit interesting. Like the pawn structure of black doesn't look that good because there are some weaknesses. This pawn is backward pawn. The bishop is still in a bad position. Black will need a6, c5, I guess, to open up the position a bit and improve the bishop position, but now it's not looking that great in my opinion. However, nothing terrible for black. Black can still fight. And black deciding to go to g4 instead of d5, which looks a bit more natural. So g4 and oof, and okay. And now maybe white has some threats of g4. Then queen d2. I'm not so sure. Maybe black can just no, cannot. I think g4 looks quite strong, but maybe I'm missing something. Queen d2, knight f5. Okay, and now g4. And now I understand g4 less because g4 doesn't achieve much. Just removing the double pawn of black, making the white king a bit weak, but I guess white just wants to bring his rook to the attack. However, I'm not convinced. Chicken Dining has many options now. I mean, has some options that looks a bit better than before. Maybe rook a d8 first, but or just knight c4. I think c5 doesn't look that great at the moment. It's a bit too early because white could still push c5. It looks like it's holding quite well, and the pawn is going to be very strong. So maybe not c5, but knight c4 or rook d8, bishop g8, bishop h8 if white comes here maybe. Does white has big threat with e6? I'm not so sure. Doesn't look that nice for black, but maybe queen c8. So quite complex position when you have a lot of different options. But I think black is quite fine, so in my opinion. Let's see. And white. Oh, and it was white to play. Sorry, so black decided to play knight b6. I missed. I totally missed it. So okay, yeah. So now it's white to play, and okay, white decide to play e6. So I guess queen c8, and if pawn takes, we just have to take back. Knight can attack. Well, it looks quite battle. Queen e7. Okay. Wants to be able to recapture with the queen, maybe. And white put, okay, rook e1, f6. And g5. White giving no time for black to rest. Keep pressuring, keep putting pressure. I like it quite a lot. White pieces are very well developed. So it's a time for white to attack, to take benefit of their better position, and no need to wait for more. I think g5 looks quite good, threatening to take f6 and free the square g4, g5, even e5 for the white knight or even bishop. And black counterattack by attacking the queen, but the queen can simply go on c2 and go on the diagonal, and black decide to push f5, which is reasonable. You don't want to open too much the position, so I will have done the same. But looks really hard though. Looks not easy for black to play. White has so many good moves. Maybe can start by playing b3 and then maybe, actually I'm not so sure, maybe play d5 right away. But d5 is actually, I mean, with black we'll be pretty happy to simplify a bit the position, trade our bad bishop, which was inactive so far, and the knight, but it still looks pretty good for white. I don't see many better options. Okay, so black is very happy to trade, trying to get some activity, and white not letting black 1 second of rest, keep attacking. So now the position become a bit complex, but I think black doesn't have many tactical options. Maybe knight e3, but I'm not sure it's good. I think it's quite bad actually. So okay, black moving his queen away, and white starting to get on this. Okay, so it cannot checkmate at the moment, but trying to take this very interesting space that is threatening a lot black. And you can see chicken dining has only 7 seconds left. This is very, very, very tense. Playing rook e7 almost at the last second. And Potato Turtle with 2 minutes is far ahead on time. So now it's a lot about time management, this kind of games. Because you don't have much time, but then when your opponent doesn't have time, you have 2 choices, right? You can play fast to put more pressure on your opponent, or take your time. Usually, most of the time, I would say you have to take your time. Oh, and I don't really like this. Potato Turtles deciding to trade. I think the trade is helping black maybe a bit. Yeah, I'm really not a big fan of it. However, white has still some initiative. Black cannot really bishop g7 because white will have like intermediate rook d8. And after rook e8, white is just starting to take pawns, preparing for this very late game. And chicken dining with 2 seconds, so that's so close. And oh my god, he played like very fast move, maybe misclicked. Rook c6, probably shaking and sweating with 4 seconds on the clock, and unfortunately giving up the rook, giving up the game by the same occasion. Good game, so Potato Turtle taking the lead in the open tournament with a 3 out of 3. That was the last round, and the round 4 is going to start in 40 seconds. Very good job, Mystics. Second in the ranking and provisional ranking at the moment, followed by Chess Gunist, who just missed last game. So Chicken Dining, not very far with Jucifer. Everything can happen. Sebastian, I don't know if he missed last game. No, he played. We might watch his next game. And let's have a look at the beginner tournament. The round 4 is already well advanced. We're going to try to check one of their game. So let's have a look at Shuo game. Jason Chu, who has the black pieces and is trying to defend against boss 826. So let's have a look. The position itself, white is 1 pawn ahead, has a bishop against a knight, and has this very good activity on the black king, and Shuo deciding to give up his knight. So I think we arrived at the critical time of the game. Black will have defended the knight with some moves like queen f8. I'm not really sure why he decided to give it up, but let's look at it. Well, white had some strong attack on the knight because the knight is pinned by the queen. If black tried to defend it and move the king away, it will be pinned by the bishop. So looks really hard, but I think after queen e3, rook e3, rook b8, h3, and then the rook coming here, maybe black can still try to defend with queen e7 and rook f8, but it looks really bad. So okay, let's have a look. So black decided to give up the knight, coming back with the queen, threatening a checkmate, a sneaky checkmate, but white, I'm sure, saw it. Oh! And I think a big blunder by white. So here, I think white just saw that black can checkmate. So trying to make some escape, right, for the king. So the king can escape after queen takes rook. But most easy option, and actually the best, would have been to just move the rook away. So the rook cannot be taken, and it's also defending the checkmate. Actually, after rook c1, I think it's almost already won, because the queen is going to capture c7, for example, on the next move. And black looks already in a very trouble position, but white did this blunder, and now black is taking advantage of it, taking as many pawns as possible. And Shuo definitely back in this game, but it's not over. So the game is really tense. I think both players have a chance, even though Jason Chu is ahead at the moment. And as you see, white has 2 pass pawn on the king side and threatening to promote to queen. So quite intense game. Let's follow it until the end. And we can see Shuo is taking his time, which is very, very good. You still have 1 minute and 30 seconds, which is not that much, but is enough to calculate and try to take the best decision. Shuo seeing that white is threatening to have a pass pawn, so deciding to put his rook in front. However, it's not so easy to block pass pawn with a rook, especially when it's like accompanied by other pawns, a bishop and a queen. As you can see, the black rook cannot capture the pawn at any step. And I really like what Shuo is doing, bringing back his rook to activate it and maybe counter-attack on the white king with some possible checkmates, right? If rook b2, if white, for example, move a pawn, that will be a rook g2 check, king move, rook h2 check, king move, queen g2 check, mate. So a lot of threats, and I really like that Shuo is going for the counter-attack. And here, probably some checkmate too. Wow, this is becoming very, very dangerous for white. And Shuo, okay, doing a silent move, threatening to checkmate in 1 move. So white really has to do something right now about it. And not doing, can Shuo find checkmate in 1 move? Let's see. I think that was the whole plan of putting the queen in g2. It was to checkmate right after. And Shoshu finds it. Very good job to Shoshu, and very good job to both who had a great idea, right, to push the pawn. And this is a good strategy. So White really found out the good strategy. Unfortunately, got caught by the queen because Black has actually many threats, but good game, very good game. So this is the open. Back in the beginner, let's have a look at the game between the two leaders of the ranking at the moment. Timur with only 10 seconds and one bishop against 2 knights and 3 pawns. It looks very tough. Chudasov with his 1 minute and 22 seconds should be able to finish the game without any blunders. And we see both players bring their king in the center, which is the good move to do, but White is so far behind, it looks very difficult for White to come back in this game. Unless Black does a blunder, like giving up one knight, and that is happening. Can White come back? The bishop is very strong, but the 3 pawns are moving too fast, promoting soon. White decide to bring the king to defend. Let's see if White can stop this army of pawns. White trying to block on the king side, making this line to block the Black king. But Black still have one knight, right? Without the knight, it will have been very intense, but with the knight, it looks so hard for White. Can they do something? Not much time, but Chudasov doesn't have that much time too. Maybe the pressure will be too much for those players. Let's see if Black can finish. So far, Chudasov playing very well, pushing the pawn slowly, bringing the king, bringing the knights, putting all the pieces up to work to prepare the queen. And Timur trying to fight as best as he can. But Chudasov is too good, taking all his pieces towards the promotion and the victory. I think Timur needs a miracle at the moment. And Chudasov probably wanting to push b2. Is he going to do it? No, he's not going to do it at the moment. Can White do something else? Sacking the bishop will be an option, but probably a bad one, as the 2 pawns can block the white pawn. Okay, Black being a bit more passive. That is some hope for White, right? Can White try to capture and go to a draw? So tense. This game is so tense. So much suspense. It will be a miracle if Timur can draw this game. But wait, I think Chudasov is struggling to move forward. Oh, and Timur attacking the back pawn, trying maybe to make some space to push his pawns to queen. So let's see if he can make it. Let's see if he can make it. And Black defending the pawn. And blocking also this square, that was a bit annoying. But look at it now. Black cannot move their king easily, right? So trying to move the king here, but then the king cannot come closer. Definitely not that easy to finish. I think Black has to try to check so he can make some space for his king and push the pawn. But is he going to find a good move? And okay, Black moving back. But yeah, Black has too many pawns. White has to be very careful not to trade his bishop against the knight. Even if taking all the pawns on this side, the Black king will be too close from the white pawn. And Black finally finding a very good square for his knight, and that should be sealing the end of this game. White cannot do much. If White takes the knight, of course it's a disaster, because the white pawn can never promote alone because of the 2 black pawn in front. And if White doesn't capture, now the pawns come into play. But wait, White is trying to counterattack, making his pawn free. Can White make the impossible happen? Let's see. White is in check, deciding to go on the corner. and black is going to put their knight here, threatening to do checkmate. If white takes the pawn, should have found the checkmate in one move, the knight guarding the other squares, and that's a very, very nice checkmate. Congratulations to Chudasov for this amazing victory. Good job. Very nice game. And that was the last game of the round 4. And so Chudasov, after this amazing game, taking the lead 4 points out of 4, followed closely by Timur and Sweet Rilu with 3 points, and then FIFA Technique, who is like honestly one of the best player. I think can come back very fast in this tournament for the 3 last rounds. Next round starting in 20 seconds. Everyone is ready. Let's have a look at the open tournament. Open tournament, so we have Potato Turtle that is leading with 3 out of 4. Let's have a look at his game. And he's playing against Jessifer, so let's have a look from the start of the game. This is round 4, yes. And Potato Turtles with the white pieces. So we see Jessifer liking to play the East Indian defense without e5, turning into a mess, but suddenly having like the chance of exchanging the knight against the bishop is always good. I would have maybe preferred black to take directly the bishop, but let's see. Taking now. And the fork between the queen and the rook, coming out from the very passive pawn structure from black with this very weak squares on c6 and e6. So I take advantage of this outpost and do the very good fork. However, black has some resources, taking the rook in f1 check and moving the queen right after. However, the position still looks very good for white for a few reasons. First, the black bishop on white squares is kind of isolated at the moment, doesn't do much. And all the white pieces are looking, again, maybe not all, but are looking towards the black king, which is in kind of weak position. So, however, black looks like they're holding quite well. It's definitely not over. Let's go forward. So bishop h3. Okay. Threatening maybe to take, bring. I mean, white is just improving his position by bringing all his pieces, which I like a lot. I think bishop h3 is because he wanted the square for the knight, which makes sense. And we have interesting move. So white giving up the knight. So here black have 2 options, putting their king in g8 or capturing. If black capture, then white can capture back. Black has to go here, because if black goes to h6, then the knight can do a discover attack and capture the queen. And after the king comes here, there is a bishop e6 coming and checkmating. Not checkmating, but almost checkmating, because knight f7 is the only defense. Bishop f7 check, king has to go here, discover attack, king go back to g8, and queen e6 finishing checkmate. So, very good calculation. So, yes. So black correctly decided to go back on g8, Jessifer not falling for this very aggressive attack. Unless I missed something, I might. And yes, after these moves, it looks really bad for white. Thankfully, this knight is still controlling f7, leaving a tiny bit of hope for black. But okay, white just decides to capture pawns. And after taking the pawn, then black is finally quite happy to see less white pieces exchange their black bishop. Even though they lost a pawn, I think they must be quite happy with how it turned out. Okay, I didn't see black losing another pawn, which is very annoying. But there is still some hope. The black knight is controlling all the important squares at the moment. Don't forget white can have some threats of checkmates like this. But so far so good. Here I think queen f8 will have worked. Oh no, because checkmate. Okay, so black is threatening checkmate. I missed it. It happens to everyone to miss this kind of stuff. King h2. Okay, defending the checkmate. Queen back to c2. So if white tries to go, black will take the pawn with check. So black defending very well, like always finding the thread to avoid white to finish, and white deciding to still go for it. Okay, so after queens take e2, king a3, black cannot come here for perpetual checks because the white queen still control, and it looks actually quite over now for black. Can they try to defend? I don't think so. h5 is useless because the queen will come checkmate the king. Okay, and black's try a queen move, but it's too late. Maybe the only move will have been to play this, but after bishop takes knight, it's the same problem. Black doesn't have any. Oh, actually, queen take and checkmate. So yeah, no chance for black in this terrible position. Couldn't fight against Potato Turtles, who is flying away with a 4 out of 4, just followed by Mystics with 3 out of 4. So Mystics only lost against Potato Turtles. So if Potato Turtles lose one game, they could find like another guy to contest the first place. So let's see. Chicken Dining looks like it's not connected at the moment. So let's see if this guy is playing next round. There are not so many people in the open, the level is quite high, so quite good tournament, nice games played. And Sebastian, let's see also if he's playing next game. On the beginner tournament, so it's already the end of the round 5, and let's have a look at the last game still in play between Timur and Jason Chu, also called Shosho. And we can see Timur is applying a lot of pressure on the white king, already asking questions to the white. How do you want to defend that? And I agree, king h2 looks like a good defense for Shosho. Who is holding on? Needs to defend. Needs to defend his white king, which is doing very well at the moment. Timur that I think is undefeated so far, or let's have a look. Timur lost only one game against Shudasov. Yeah, this crazy game where I was trying to defend with the bishop. Yeah, this one. So okay, Timur, second of the tournament, playing against Shosho. So let's see if Shosho can fight back. We can see a big gap in rating for Lichess. However, for knowing Jason Chu, I know is much better than 1100s, and there's still a match, I think, between these two guys. And being one pawn behind at that time of the game is definitely not a game over. Just Shosho needs to find the good moves now, consolidate his position perhaps, and preparing to fight for the late game, the end game. So, oh, and I missed Shuo playing knight f4. Giving up the knight. What a big blunder by Shuo, who is now in big trouble. I think one move could have been to defend the pawn, maybe c3, and if black plays knight f4, I mean, maybe knight c3 will be good enough, and if black tries to thread, queen can come to g4, and there is no, I think there is no big threats. So yeah, definitely missed by Shuo. I think he's going to be quite disappointed losing his knight, and Timur taking his time to decide what is the best way forward, which is good. When you are ahead in a game, you don't need to hurry too much. Still need to be sure not to do blunders. So securing a win after winning a piece, making sure you take the less risky endgame, increase your advantage, not leaving any chance of counterattack to your opponent, not underestimate your opponent's chance of tactics and attack. It happens a lot, you know, like you could be 1 pawn ahead, 2 pawns ahead, and then you neglect defending your king, and your opponent is going to launch this strong attack, and at some point you don't have any ways to defend. So need to keep the focus, and I think Timur is doing this very well, taking his time, playing good moves, playing safe, not trying some fancy things that might put him into trouble, and Shuo giving his second knight and giving his queen. Shuo definitely not happy with the game, doing kamikaze style, giving all his pieces. Unfortunately, as you know, it's not a winning strategy to give all your pieces, and that will be the end for our favorite kamikaze Shuo style, who didn't succeed this game, but playing very well, and we hope to see a better game next round. Let's go back to the open tournaments. And the round 5 I started too. Sebastian is playing against Potato Turtle, so let's have a look if Sebastian can be the first one to defeat the leader of the 24th open tournament. Sebastian needs to be careful, but Potato Turtles too. Like these two guys can play well, and already looks like White has a winning move, knight e6, and if knight e5, knight takes bishop, looks like winning. Oh, why did I miss something? Why not playing knight e6? Yeah, I don't know. It does look so good, knight e6, but okay. Sebastian deciding to do f4. Okay, when I was saying winning move, maybe not, but it just looks very strong, and black cannot do much about it, so they can just defend, but then your knight is in a very good square, and I guess you can just play around it. Okay, maybe f4 is really good too. Knight a5, so now it's like removing the queen from the diagonal, but still aiming for this e6 square. Okay, and Potato Turtle in not in unpleasant position. Yes, so Sebastian taking the e6 square. I think Potato Turtle has to move the rook somewhere. Cannot give up the rook for the knight. I mean, he could take the pawn, of course, but it just doesn't look that good. And now, it's white to develop his pieces, like the knight and the bishop, still not active. Oh, and Sebastian deciding to push f5. So what happened after knight takes e4? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there is a plan behind or if Seb is still outside. Actually, I'm still surprised he could play the tournament because I know he's quite busy today. So let's see. Maybe he's still out and cannot focus much on the game, which is a bit sad. I guess so. And okay, here, okay, black could have taken e4. I think I would have liked it too, but I guess it's not so good to open this file. Okay, so g5, e5. Yeah, my analysis may be wrong. Previous moves, maybe f5 is just better overall. I'm not so sure. But yeah, knight g4 looks quite good. It's releasing a bit of pressure. Oh, and okay, I guess when black take, white wants to first take the bishop with a check and take back, and then on rook here, cannot defend the pawn. Looks very... doesn't look good for white. The idea looks very nice to push the pawn, but I just think the timing is it's not working out so well. Okay, so black capturing the pawn first. I think Seb doesn't really want to capture because after this is and white cannot defend the pawn. Okay, so white may be trying to win some time. So the rook in a1 will be able to develop very fast, which is actually quite good. Like if you lose your pawn on f6, at least trade it against some activity. Okay, but black playing knight e3. I think white doesn't have many choices except okay e1, which is played by Seb right away. And black unpinning the knight. Okay, white finally breathing a bit, like developing finally his knight in a better square. The bishop maybe will be able to be developed. And I think the game is quite balanced. This endgame looks to me a lot is possible. Trading the bishop mostly because the bishop doesn't have many good squares, right? Once you develop it, and now okay, black looks a bit better in the position, controlling many good squares. But after, for example, king f2, not sure. Oh, doubling the rooks, which is also a possibility. Then it looks quite okay. Maybe here white has to move their knight here. Black, yeah, have to move their knight in d5 as played. And black should just, I think, be happy to take back the pawn. Oh, when Sebastian has 5 seconds. 10, okay. So, reminder, like, every time a player moves, he will get 5 seconds additional in his clock. So Seb has basically 5 seconds for each of his games, each of his moves. Sorry, not game. That will be too short for the full game. But and I really like knight e5 from Seb. It's a very aggressive move. I like it. If black decide to take, however, might it work? White can do some checks, but it looks fine. So maybe black just take with the knight. And oh wait. Actually, if black take, wait, if black take rook here. Oh, what's that played right here? I think rook 1 looks maybe better. I'm not so sure, but then looks like black is such in a bad position after rook e1. So knight g6, and yeah, I think, wow. I think, yeah, white must have been winning here with rook e1, unless I missed something. Okay, anyway, so let's go back to the game. So, exchanging all pieces, winning 1 pawn in the trade, which is quite good. But the black king has a better square than the white king, which is a bit far. However, I think white is still better because of the pawn advantage. Black will have to make a choice. Where do you want the king to go? Because the knights will not be able to stop all the pawns. The majority of pawns on the queen side can advance if the knight alone is trying to block them. It might not be enough. So Potato Turtles like calculating his options, different possibilities, and I think Seb could make it. And knight c3. So what is the plan? I'm not sure there will be a fork or something. Okay, so like bringing up the king. Maybe trying to. Interesting. Black playing very fast bishop b1. Maybe he wants just to bring his king to d4. Okay, why? Okay. So if black takes, white can take, king here, and the pawn is doomed. So it looks like a draw, because this pawn looks dead. But, wait. White actually, what I'm saying, white is so close from the black, black will have to push, and white can push h4. Yeah, I think, so push, king here, push, takes, push, okay, takes, king here, push, actually, push, king here, oh, it looks like white is too close from the pawn, like, and white can also do like this, yes, actually just bring the king, I missed it, looks better, okay, so can push or just go on the side. Sebastian playing with 10 seconds for half the game. And now, if white push, Black can still get in time. So, oof. Okay, so there are like some. I think black can still capture the knight because of this line. So if white push. Wait, so white push here, push. She could still go here. Okay, and that should be a draw. I don't see how can white win this unless unless I'm mistaken, but which is clearly possible. Yeah. Wait, so can white just for just black can just move his king around, right? And leave his knight here. Is there some threat of checkmate? No, because the knight will always be able to capture the... So wait, if black does this, if white moves the knight, the black knight can always come here, and there is no checkmate. If white moves here, yeah, it looks so drawish for me. But still good to play until the end. You never know, your opponent can do a mistake. Okay, but here fork, taking the pawn, and this will be game over. A draw between the first tournament and teacher Sebastian. Oh, unless he lost on time, which will have been a win for black, because in theory, even though white has a pawn, black will still checkmate white if white is helping black to checkmate him. So it was very close. Okay, so the round 5 is completed for the open tournament, with Potato Turtle still in the lead, followed by Mystics, who won his last game. So Mystics already played against Potato Turtles round 2 and lost, but is just half a point behind. So let's say Potato Turtles lose one of his next game. I messed up so bad, oh my god, haha, Potato Turtles commenting the game. And I think I messed up a lot in the comments too. Not very sharp today, missing a lot of things. I feel like you had to have a win in that endgame somewhere, say Potato Turtles to Happy Concept. Yes, I think so too, but it was kind of tense. I think the main issue was like Rook E1 was missed when the two rooks and the knight were there. And Jesse first thing, GG, you guys cannot see the chat, but I'm telling you, the mood is very nice. And let's have a look at Tischsefer against Habibon Sebastian with d4 c5. But actually, before that, we're going to have a check because on the beginner tournament, because this is the last round. So before looking at the game, let's have a quick look at the ranking at the moment. So Shudasov is first with 0 loss and is playing against Shosho at the moment. And the game looks quite balanced in the preview. So we're probably going to watch this one. And FIFA Technique I announced it is coming back with 3 wins out of 3 on the last 3 games and playing against both 826 and already having a huge lead with a queen ahead. So I think FIFA Technique probably going to score another point and finish with 5 points. Let's have a look at Shudasov against Shuo. So Shuo, other name for Jason Chu. And Shuo with the black pieces, and already just when we arrive, Shuo is making the show for us. He wants us to enjoy the show and playing queen like knight g4, giving up his queen for the challenge maybe. So maybe we're like bringing bad luck to Shuo because every time we start watching his game, he's doing a big blunder. Maybe tired a bit at the end of the tournament, the last round. Played already 6 games. It's difficult to keep the focus, but unfortunately for Shuo, the game looks already done. I don't see much hope, especially against Shudasov, who's shown us he can definitely finish the games and do very few blunders. So we're going to check another game, and this other game is going to be Rax the Meeper against Sweet Rilu. Let's have a quick check on this. Oh, but Sweet Rilu is already a queen ahead, so looks pretty bad already. So let's see if any game is quite balanced. FIFA Technique already winning pawn against Timur. Okay, so Timur is a rook ahead. Austin. We didn't watch many of his game. Oh, Austin lost against Boss 826. Ooh. Okay, with a checkmate, like help us checkmate on the side. Well, that's quite sad because Austin, one of very strong players, but losing in unfortunate way last game, and this game winning by forfeits. And Sajal Chandrakar and MRV left the tournament. So I think we're just going to check the open tournament and come back for the final result. And we can already see that Shudasov finished the game against Shuo, finishing with a perfect score, 7 out of 7. Congratulations to Shudasov, who is kindly invited to join the open tournament for the next session. So let's have a look at the open tournament, where games are slower, so we're only playing the round 6 at the moment. And we want especially to follow these 2 first players, Potato Turtles and Mystics, who are far ahead in the ranking. So, Potato Turtles playing against Xiong Alexander. What a nice name. And the game looks quite balanced. Was it a French opening? No, it was d4 d5 without c4. So just queen opening with c4 a bit later. Okay. And we can see white has a pair of bishops. However, the position is not so open, and white has double pawns on the c5. So black with his knights is quite comfortable, I think, for playing this game. Already threatening to take the bishop and pushing c5, attacking the queen and allowing to take back the bishop, the pawn with the queen. But white reacting by playing queen f4. I'm not so sure it's the good move. Let's see. Black targeting the weak pawns of the whites. Maybe white can play queen d4 here, I'm not sure. But the bishop in d6 will be taken right after, even if the queen are traded. So let's see, I like Xiong Alexander chances in this game. The pair of bishops is not a problem anymore, because, well, the queen is already traded. So let's see, I like Xiong Alexander chances in this game. The pair of bishops is not a problem anymore, because the pair of bishops is not a problem anymore, because the pair of bishops is not a problem anymore, because the pair of bishops is not a problem anymore, because the pair of bishops is not a problem anymore, because the pair of bishops is not a problem anymore, because the pair of bishops is not a problem anymore, because the pair of bishops is not a problem anymore, because the pair of bishops is not a problem anymore, because the pair of bishops is not a problem anymore, because the pair of bishops is not a problem anymore, because the pair of bishops is not a problem anymore, because the pair of bishops is not a problem anymore, because the pair of bishops is not a problem anymore, because the pair of bishops is not a problem anymore, because the pair of bishops is not a problem anymore, because the pair of bishops is not a problem anymore, because the pair of bishops is not a problem anymore, because the pair of bishops is not a problem anymore, because the pair of bishops is not a problem anymore, because the pair of bishops is not a problem an I can just capture it. And I think queen takes queen, knight takes bishop looks fine enough. Uh, uh, Black will, will not be that easy to take back the e6 pawn right away because white can have some activities, but black playing very well. I think I really like knight b6, knight c4. It's like locking the position, really looking up white chances to find any counter activities and giving some time for black to capture e6. Even with the rook or of course with the knight is looks better. But the knight in c4 looks very good. I think white has to. Okay, so white pushing e5. Uh, which actually I totally missed, even though it was the main goal of pushing e4. Yes, so e5, yes. Just missed it. Oh yeah, finally, what I said before, probably not true anymore because e5 is locking this d6 pawn in place and looks so strong. So yeah, definitely missed that, which was of course the plan of Potato Turtles, maybe like 5 moves before he anticipated it. He played e4 so fast, looking to play e5. And yeah, this is very well played. There is not many ways to remove this pawn on d6 because white can always push a4. So if black push f6, even g4, g5, the white pawn structure will still be protecting d6. So suddenly the game doesn't look that good anymore for black, and I think black really has to do something. Maybe bring back the king. Um, I don't think black should trade because if black trade their knight against the bishop, um, and let's say want to trade everything, then we have this endgames with this pawn here. This pawn is going to be very annoying. I think black should keep some pieces to play it out. And black deciding to push c5. Which is at least asking white to think about what they want, right, from this position. Like, do they want to push? Probably not, because it's going to give a very good pass pawn to the black. If they take, what will be the next move? Probably have to take. I don't see many different options. And maybe white can try to fix the position like this. Okay, looks like it's Potato Turtle's plan. Black still has this good square for the knights. Also, like so many squares for the knights. The issue is white is so strong with this pawn structure. I don't know if white ever want to trade here the knight because if you remove the knight, that's giving some activities to black. I like rook b1. Meanwhile, Magnus Carlsen is still thinking. not commenting much. So let's see, quite interesting game. So Sion Alexander decided to play Rook A7, which I don't like so much. I would have liked to see White play Rook B8 just to ensure the Black King cannot come, but it's not urgent. As you see, the Black King cannot even come closer because it will be a checkmate from White. And Black coming back to D2, doing this small fork. Okay, White finally checking. The White King is on the side, and White can decide now to put their bishop in B5 to structure better and like prepare like the promotion of their pawn, which looked like very, very, very hard to stop now. I really believe Rook A7 was not the good move, but and we're like, oh, and okay, Black thinks the threat is too big. Deciding to trade his rook against the bishop, and okay, bit desperate measure, but the situation was desperate enough, I think. And to go back to Happy Pawn Beginner, we have the final ranking. Oh, yes, Shosho complaining the level is a bit hard. Yes, yes, the level was a bit hard for the beginner tournament, I agree. Some of the players might be more than 14 years old, yes. And we're going to put them in the open tournament for next time, so no worries about that, guys. We see the first one was Shudashov with 7 out of 7, followed by Timur with 6 out of 7, FIFA Technique 5 out of 7, Sweet Rilu 4 out of 7, Pawn Austin, Shoshuo, Mad Amazing Earth who left, both Raxum Meeper and or two levers like Sajal, Shankdrakar, and MRV. So yeah, guys, Shudasov, Timur, congratulations for your very nice tournament. I invite you to go to the open tournament next time, as you guys played very well and definitely can face stronger opponents. For the few people will complain a bit about the level of the tournament. It's true that today the level of the beginner tournament was a bit higher than usual. However, there is not much to complain about, as it's going to make your play improve more to play against better tournaments. And definitely, these guys, looking at the games, they are not invincible for you. You can still catch them. So it's okay. Sometimes cannot win all the games, and I think the games were pretty nice. So, guys, there is no problem with that. And next tournament for Chudasov and Timo, as I said, you guys will be promoted to the open tournament to play against the best players. So congratulations to everyone, and congratulations also, I didn't say much, to FIFA Technique for the third place and the very nice comebacks that I announced. 5 out of 7 after starting 1 out of 3. Very well played. And now going back to Sion Alexander against Potato. So we saw the rook sacrifice. Black is trying to hold, but it's too hard. And White makes the queen. Black is fighting till the end. White doing many checks. And it's going to be GG very soon. Oh, and we see that Mystics won his last game against Marcus Walters. So we have like this situation where Mystics and Potato Turtle are very close. So if Potato Turtles lose the last game, Mystics might finish first. And oh, and we still have Teacher Sebastian with 10 seconds playing against his dad, his father, Jessifer, with 18 seconds. What a crazy game! So Jessifer is one knight ahead. However, Black has actually 3 pawns against the knight. So in terms of matter, it's quite balanced, but in this kind of endgames, with no time, it's very complex. A lot can happen. There are so many checks possible, and we can see white is trying to trade queen. So Jessifer saying, enough, Sebastian. Enough, trade your queen against mine. Let's go real endgame. But Sebastian, oof, 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 playing like tactical moves, not thinking twice, right? They're playing in like 1 second each, no break, and Seb trying to be as annoying as possible, moving around his queen, having so many pawns now. And Jessifer has to be careful, because if he defends with the knight, he's going to lose the other knight. So defending with the queen, and I think Seb is so much favorite in this endgame with 1 knight and 4 pawns against 2 knights. Let's see. Oh, he decides not to go into this endgame, preferring to do more checks, maybe to get some time. Remember, every time player plays, move, get 5 seconds. So sometimes it's good to do some checks just to get some time on your chess clock. And now they have a bit more time. So 20 seconds for Seb, 36 seconds for Jessifer. Seb finding the fork, taking the last chance of win for the white pieces. Actually, Jessifer, like, we need a small miracle to win, and by exchanging the knight, now Sebastian is probably making 100% sure is winning. So yeah, 3 pawns against 1 knight. The knight is going to have a hard time, especially with the white king being so far. The chances of survival from white are so slim, but if black push g2, the fork might allow white to do a draw, or not. Let's see. But yeah, by avoiding the very little trap, of course, Sebastian not falling for that. Now suddenly, white king is so far. There is no way to stop these pawns. Jessifer can try to do some checks, but it's going to be probably very useless. Probably very, very, very disappointed to lose this endgame, stolen by Sebastian with his tactics and his queen checking everywhere. Jessifer is slowly getting to the no return points. Sebastian making sure he's not going to do any mistakes, sinking very deep and pushing g2. Will that be enough? Is threatening f2 if knight takes g1 queen, and also checkmate. Jessifer trying to find the last resource he could find, but is there some stalemate possibilities? Doesn't look like it. And Sebastian taking time to do the checkmate. He probably doesn't want to checkmate his dad, but finally he did it, and Sebastian wins against Jessifer, and this was the last of the round 6. And we're going to see the last round of the tournament. The beginners have already left their computers, they're outside playing soccer and basketball. But the best players in the Open are still going to fight for one last round. With Potato Turtles and Mystics at the top of the leaderboard, I wish I played this tournament. I think it would have been quite interesting. 20 seconds before next round. I hope you guys enjoyed the tournaments. Oh, and sorry, 6 rounds only because not enough players. I think everyone play against everyone, and since just Gunist left, I think that's it. So GG all, 6 round only. Congrats and thanks for participation, Popototos. Dang, first place, 5.5 in front of Mystics. GG everyone, GG guys. Nice games. It was quite cool, entertaining. And yes, missing some of our teachers in the tournament would have been nice to see. Rajesh, Panpul, Evan, Nick, a lot of our teachers. Louis might have done very well. This was a short tournament with not so many players, but quite entertaining. So I hope you liked the stream. Hope to see you next time. So the next tournament is going to be, I have it here, on the Sunday 30th of April. So don't hesitate to come. It might be commented by Louis or someone else. Hope you had fun and see you next time, guys.